Consumed. Westlake Trilogy Book One by J.C. Jarrett. About the author? J.C. Jarrett was born in 1975. The oldest of three, he grew up in Scott Depot, West Virginia, graduating from Winfield High School in Winfield, West Virginia. He went on to do several jobs, from over-the-road truck driver to slot machine technician. Over the years, he worked on this book using a pen and paper. Then, in 2012, his daughter was born, and it only seemed right to name her after the character, Peyton, whom he had wrote and thought about so long. Together with Peyton, he lives in Scott Depot, West Virginia. If you would like to contact the author, use the following email, consumedwriter@gmail.com. Acknowledgements. There are several people I would like to thank for their support in the writing of this book. First of all, Jacinda, the mother of Peyton Lee, our beautiful little girl, whose name was taken from this book. She never once told me to give up my dream and encouraged me to finish. My sister Haley for reading this book and cursing me for not having the next finished for her. Cindy for proofreading and helping repair my mistakes. Finally, to the casino for giving me a job so slow and boring that I was able to handwrite most of this book on their dime. Thank you for reading. I hope you enjoy. Consumed. Westlake Trilogy Book One by J.C. Jarrett. Prologue. Born in blood. Pain was all she knew. Her slender hand clutched at her chest in an effort to stop the tide of blood that flowed from the wound. The light from the burning house cast dancing shadows across the ground, and the sounds of battle could still be heard from somewhere nearby. She managed to raise her head from the damp grass to look down at her stomach still swollen with child. Gods, please save my child. If you must, take me but save my baby. Maybe she could barter herself for her baby's life, she thought. A squeal of pain tore from the darkness, and the clashing sounds of battle ended. Rand. She managed to call, but her voice seemed very weak. A dark, tall figure stepped into the firelight, a large sword in hand dripping with blood and gore. The dark figure moved to her, dropping to his knees. The flickering firelight sent his worried features swimming across his face. Jana. He spoke while inspecting her wound. He knew it was mortal, and she had very little time left. He looked down at her blood-stained face. Tears welled in his eyes as his voice caught in his throat. "No, my love," she said, her voice barely a whisper. "You must be strong. You have to save our baby." Rand looked down at her swollen stomach, shaking his head. No, please, there has to be another way. I can't." Panic in his voice very evident. The tears flowed freely now from his and her eyes. She reached a hand out, taking his, guiding it to her lower stomach right above her waist. "Take your knife and cut here, but not too deep. Then you will have to reach in and pull our baby out. You'll need to hurry. You won't have much time." A strange calm had come over her. The pain had stopped. "You must. For the baby. For me. I love." Her words trailed off as she released her last breath. Jana's hand fell away from Rand's, for she had still held it in place on her stomach. He looked up at her. Reaching out, he lightly shook her. "Jana. Jana." The wail of sorrow that escaped his lips echoed through the night. He sat mortified, unsure of what to do for several seconds. Finally, he moved to her waist, pulling his knife from his belt. Tears clouded his vision, causing the image to swim in front of him. He gently placed the edge of the sharp blade against her exposed stomach. There he sat for several seconds, building the courage for what he knew he must do. Closing his eyes, he silently asked for the strength he needed so badly at this moment. Then slowly he slid the blade, its edge opening her flesh with ease as blood seeped from the incision. Taking both of his hands, he pushed into the incision, forcing them inside up to his wrists. His mind was on the edge of panic, but he stayed on the task at hand. He could not let the horror of this moment paralyze his actions, or all would be lost. Suddenly, he felt movement as his hand brushed against the tiny child trapped in its womb. He knew that if he did not hurry would become the poor child's tomb. Taking hold with both hands, Rand gently pulled, watching the head escape the child's departed mother. The baby's cries filled the night as if it knew of its mother's passing. The new father looked at his newborn son covered in blood and gore. Sobs racked the man's body as he wept, holding his son who would never know how brave and strong his mother had been. Rand removed his cloak, and laying the baby on it, he took his knife and snipped the umbilical cord, then wrapped his son tight in the cloth. Rand raised the baby up. "See, darling, you did it. It's a boy." The devastated man said, his voice breaking with emotion. Rand held his son, looking into his blue eyes as they stared back, the boy now silent as if he knew the pain and grief his father now felt. "Peyton, that was the name you had chosen. Peyton, our son."